Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, Senior Lakers Insider for Clutch Points, joined on this fine Wednesday afternoon, my time, early afternoon, my time, late morning, Harrison's time, by Harrison Fagan of SB Nation, who changed his thing. He is no longer at HM Fagan down below. You went to the brewski. You went to the blueski.
Yeah.
On your ad.
I mean, I got look, I have Twitter followers. I think most of the people that are encountering me here are probably aware of my Twitter account. I, got to promote the other platform.
I am also on there. Here's my problem with Blue Sky, and it's why I can't fully buy into the platform. Their notifications are still a mess. Like, for a while there, I was getting a notification for every new
them away.
Huh?
Can't you just swipe them away?
No, but I don't want my phone to buzz every time somebody follows me.
My phone's on silent, so like I don't get like a buzz when it happens.
My phone, I need my phone to be on buzz because I'm a dad, and like we get notifications from the school.
Well, but can't you just I have like text messages like screened to my watch, and like so important stuff I get a buzz, but the rest of like my daily phone notifications.
I'm not a nerd. I don't wear a smartwatch.
Oh, okay. Well,
the day that they invent a smartwatch that can shoot a little laser out, that doesn't do like actual damage, but like just kind of stuns people a little bit, that's when I'll buy a smartwatch. Apple, once you get on that, I will do it.
Yep, that's Anthony's new plan for when Avery sneaks out of the house. He's just gonna use the phaser beam from his watch to knock her out.
Did I tell you she did that the other day?
I heard it on the show. You were explaining it to, I think, Raj, but I forget who you had on at the time. But yeah, you're like, yeah, my child snuck out of the house and I was so mad at her. And I was like,
lasers.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you just set laser beams to stun, and she just takes a nice nap on the lawn right there.
It'll be like Star Wars where it shoots that circle that knocks people out.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The little I don't expect to talk about knocking out your children under 3 minutes into this show, but hey, that's why people tune into the Lakers.
Parenthood. Every parent thinks about it. I'm telling you, every single one of them. Speaking of Star Wars, have you checked out the Skeleton Crew?
No, my wife and I are planning to wait for it all to be out and then binge it.
Oh, it'll be a good binge. It's a fun show. It's like
I mostly am just like, I've been burned by the week-to-week Star Wars too many times now, where it's like I want to hear if the whole thing is good before I decide to invest the time.
Yeah. Well, and pacing doesn't bother you as much when you're binging it, right?
Yeah.
You can have those random detour episodes and just kind of like enjoy the break from the main story. But when you end on a cliffhanger and then the next episode is some stupid flashback that is meant to just extend the series to 8 episodes instead of 7, that's when you're like, waited a week. I wasted. Yeah. Can we? And now you're on 2 weeks before you actually figure out what important or what happened to the actually important character here. Yeah, I get it. It'll be a good binge too. Like I watched it the first 2 when it came out, and I watched yesterday's when it came out. But I went back and I've been catching up with Jen because I told her that she would like this show too, and it's fun. It's a good show. I would recommend it.
Yeah, so far. I'm just waiting to find out, like, whether or not it like has the worst finale that you've ever seen, which seems to be like 50% of these Star Wars shows. They're like, hey, they tried to cram like 8 hours of storytelling into this one final episode, and it just didn't work at all. And so I'm waiting to see if that happens with this one before I get too invested.
I'm just a big Jude Law guy. I can't believe like I've arrived here where I think his Dumbledore was perfect. Like the tenor and kind of vibe.
I never saw those movies.
It was so much better than Gambon or the way too old guy right before he passed away. Like it
Yeah,
was
I was gonna say I was like trying to think of the last thing I saw Jude Law in.
he was
Captain
really good
Marvel.
as Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Like that Gambon guy. Oh, actually, R.I.P. to him too. Both of them have passed away. Um, did you put your name in the goblet of fire? Like he would never say that ever. And Jude Law was like this, like kind of whimsical, really smart, but also clearly kind of tortured character. He was perfect. I want them to. Well, they're going to do the TV show. I would totally nominate Jude Law as like and age him up a little bit and make him Dumbledore in that. And
Get him the old man prosthetics. You
yeah,
know, if they can de-age Samuel L. Jackson, they can up age Jude Law. Just put him in the Santa beard. He'll be fine.
I'm fine. I'm fine with it. By the time that stupid show is done, it's going to take like 8 years. He'll actually look like Dumbledore.
He's just going to make a career pivot to just only doing shows where he like mentors children. You know, it's just like that Skeleton Crew. Like,
yeah, it's not bad. It's not.
Yeah.
You could be known for worse things. All right. Today on the show, we are going to be talking about. We are still in this break, right? We are in day 3 of this break between Lakers games. There is one more day to go, and then the Lakers finally and mercifully play on Friday to get us back to basketball. The entirety of this break, it feels like, has been spent talking about LeBron James as a trade target potentially.
Or not.
Brian, what's that?
Or not, you know?
Or not, yeah.
Is he? You know, there's single elimination NBA games going on tonight, but I think we should be debating whether or not Kendrick Perkins' sources are correct about LeBron maybe being okay with the trade.
I want Adam Silver just once to have a spine with his corporate partners and say, like, you can't start ESPN with this when we have the cup going on.
Yesterday, Jimmy Butler, today, LeBron. It's like, does anyone have respect for the cup but me? Am I the only one? Is it just me and Mike Trudell who respect the cup and Darvin Ham?
And Darvin Ham and Torian Prince.
The big four, as I call us, you know?
Smoking Aces, the original ones.
We just need a fifth, and then we have like the starting 5 of cup respecters, you know?
Yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton in memoriam, you know.
I will not be on that. I will not be in the fifth to that grouping. But unless you want like a week, like, you know, you have 4 aces and then you have like a 3 of clubs.
No, it's Sabrina. There we go. Sabrina also appreciates the cup. So
that's true.
You know.
That's true. This has been a little bit more fun. I just hate the courts so much.
I love that you're saying this one is more fun when the Lakers went undefeated last year.
No, I don't know if I would say it's been more fun. It's been fun. It's been.
You just said that 30 seconds ago.
I meant to say it's been fun. This has been fun. I'm an old man.
It's too early for you to be drunk.
I actually
5 o'clock somewhere, but not in Texas yet.
No, you know what it is? I don't drink coffee. And so this morning, because it's Jen's birthday today, she's not listening, so I could wish her happy birthday. I will. Happy birthday, Jen. But she won't know at all that I wished her happy birthday. And so this morning when she woke up to go get Miles out of his crib and then get Avery ready for school, I snuck out of the house to race to the donut shop and bring Jen her favorite breakfast. And it was like 6 a.m. And so like, you know, 8 o'clock hit and I was dragging ass, like just exhausted. So I went and made myself a cup of coffee. I don't drink coffee. Like I don't know. I normally don't feel like I need it. But today I felt like I did. And now I feel like I'm just bouncing off of the walls because I don't normally have this much caffeine. So I'm just like, whoo! And I've been cleaning the house. It's been a day. But yeah, the Lakers again are in the middle of this break. The entire league basically has been in the middle of this break. And you know, the subject has been LeBron is a trade target. You know, would the Lakers trade him? Should the Lakers trade him? All of that stuff. But one aspect of all of this that was finally broached by Brian Windhorst on ESPN was like, what does LeBron want? He has a no trade clause. That feels like it's kind of important. Here's what Wendy had to say today, and I believe Get Up.
One of the most important names to watch between now and the February trade deadline isn't just Jonathan Kuminga, it's also Jimmy Butler down in Miami. Jimmy Butler is really, since last spring, when the Heat made it clear they were not going to extend his contract, we were probably headed for an ending of the ways between the Heat and Jimmy Butler. I wouldn't say it's a done deal yet, but I think teams are starting to kick the tires there and look and see what it might take, and the Warriors are one of them. The Warriors have been really active in trying to look for a star player. They kicked the tires on a couple other stars over the summer. And if Jimmy Butler is available and the Warriors feel like they need to upgrade, that could be. But who else is on their list, Roz? That's LeBron James. And I know that this is one of the most fascinating opportunities in the league. It's a delicious scenario to think about. The Warriors have dreamed of pairing LeBron with Steph Curry and Draymond Green since last year. They've made an inquiry, and it got shut down last February. That was before LeBron played with Steve Kerr and Steph Curry and won the gold medal over the summer. So they will definitely monitor the situation, and I don't think they do anything without knowing this door is locked. But I would just say with LeBron, it's up to him. He has a no-trade clause, and he has given no indication he wants the Lakers to do anything but upgrade the roster they've got, not that he wants to go anywhere.
Funny that, like, Wendy ends on, just to be clear, it all depends on what LeBron wants here. And anybody is talking about on Twitter right now is that the Warriors would possibly according to NBA Central or whatever it is, Dunk Central, the Warriors are going to trade for Jimmy Butler and LeBron James, which I'm pretty sure is impossible under this new CBA without trading Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins. Like, both of those guys would have to go. And even then it would be kind of tricky because LeBron and Jimmy Butler both make like $48.7 million. They actually make I think almost the exact same amount as each other.
Yeah.
And if the Warriors trade for both of them and move all of their contracts, they would need to then sign 8 players.
Yeah,
while
I was joking with you that under this new CBA, that rumor is so funny on its face, just in it, because obviously that's not what Brian said. He meant they were monitoring both of them, as in they would trade for either, not both. Yeah. Because if you were to go to the Warriors and you're like, okay, you're playing NBA 2K, you have trade override on, the Heat and Lakers have to accept whatever package you do for these two guys, but you have to make it work legally under the salary cap with you. I believe the Warriors are in the second apron, but I could be right. They're definitely at least in the first apron. And so you have all the dollar matching restrictions, all of that, all the roster limitation restrictions in season. And you can trade for both of these guys. You just have to make it legal. And I was like, could they even do it? I don't know that they could.
They can't.
Even if the Heat and Lakers were like, yeah, sure, take them. You just have to make it work, all the contracts.
Off the top of my head, I don't think they have enough money to get it done. Because they're also, by the way, hard capped under the first apron, not the second apron, but the first apron, because of the exception they used.
Because of Melton. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that gives them even less room to operate here. So I truly don't think that they could do both. And if the people who run that account want to get annoyed at me and say that they meant that they are monitoring both, okay, but that's not what the tweet says. Anyway, the part of this, though, that I want to spend a little bit more time on is LeBron's own preferences and whether there is a space here for the Lakers to appease those preferences, right? So according to Wendy and according to the people that I've spoken to, not that I need to confirm Wendy's reporting, the people need to know if Anthony Irwin sources say that Brian Windhorst's sources are legit. I think that's what we're all waiting for. It would be funny if I went up against Windhorst.
I'm waiting for Perk to confirm whether he's the tiebreaker for me.
I love Wendy. He's been, for whatever reason, he has taken an interest in our content here. And now I kind of want to wind up having a source tell me something that is completely different from what somebody told him. and have it be a source off between me and Windhorse. But no, like according to Windhorse, LeBron would prefer to stick it out with the Lakers, and he would prefer that the Lakers would just improve the roster so that he has a more viable chance in the postseason. That is what I keep on hearing as well. That is what the Lakers would prefer to do as well. It's just a matter of like, can the Lakers do enough to appease LeBron and make this roster competitive to the level that LeBron might expect it to get to? And that's a question I have for you, Harrison, is that like, given the parameters that I think we can probably spell out, I don't think Rob wants to move both first round picks. I don't think he wants to take on any money that extends certainly beyond LeBron's current contract, which could end at the end of this season. But definitely, like, I would imagine any money that Rob brings in, he would prefer expire at the same time as LeBron's entirety of his contract, which would be up next year if he picks up his player option. And also improves the team to the point where like they can be considered a viable championship contender. Do you think that needle is threadable?
I mean, probably. I think that it's going to be really, really difficult, and I think this is why they're sort of in the situation they're in, is because they've been so gun shy over trying to make sort of the perfect move, and knowing that they are limited in their ability to make moves. I'm not saying they can't make moves. Obviously, like the idea that the Lakers don't have, they do have picks that they can move. They just have only so many that are actually tradable, and so they only have it's like Rob always says, like so many sort of bullets in the gun for them to fire off and try and like. If they make one big move, that might sort of be it for this era, and it has to work. And so that is sort of the big reason why they've been so choosy. And, it sort of led them to this situation where the move has to be even more perfect because they've waited so long. And now those guys need even more help. And it's what you and I talked about, I believe, last week, where, they've been waiting for LeBron and AD to not be worth. They've been sort of betting like, hey, this is the year these guys aren't going to be worth betting on, and then sort of being proved wrong until maybe this is finally the year where too much is required for them to get that type of trade done. I don't think that it's impossible, but I think that it's going to be really hard. And it's like you look at the names around the landscape, of who is going to potentially be available. Like theoretically, Jonathan Kuminga might be somebody that is available, if the Warriors decide to shop him, they don't want to invest in him long-term. Like, number one, what are the Lakers trading to make that happen that makes the Warriors want it? And does Jonathan Kuminga like fix their problems, enough to sort of vault them to the level where they want to be? Like, frankly, does even Jimmy Butler, bring them up to that level, given the salary that they'd be having to send out? Like, I mean, that's a pretty ridiculous top three, but I also don't know. Again, it's like, it's sort of a little bit weak spacing wise. Again, you're having sort of like a higher working version of the Russ problem, where Jimmy is obviously not Russ as a shooter, but he's also not a guy that like defenses have to stay completely on the perimeter every single second. And you already have LeBron and AD who are sort of dicey 3-point shooters. And so it's like, that's a lot of creation, but isn't enough defense? Is it like enough spacing to sort of not gum up the offense? I'm struggling right now to see who sort of the ideal names are on the trade market that actually vault the Lakers up towards championship contender. Like, there are good moves that they can make that maybe give them like a swing if they get the right matchups, whatever. But I'm struggling to see, sort of who are the guys that they can acquire that are available right now where they would get them. And I would be like, yep, yeah, the Lakers, they're right back into contention now.
Well, I'm glad that you asked, Harrison. I'm going to take care of you here. For yesterday's
segue.
Yep. For yesterday's lowdown, I did compile what I think is my ideal and still somewhat realistic. Now, where this gets a little unrealistic is the Lakers trading both of their first rounders.
Yeah,
like we can be honest here about like how we see this playing out. But here's how I have it going. Again, a quick refresher. This is also on yesterday's lowdown. It's fully explained and fully articulated there as best I can in a nice like 20-minute morsel. You can just go and listen to it there. It's on the RSS feed already. First, you send Gabe, Wood, and whether it's 2 or 3 second-round picks for Jonas Valanciunas right now or on December 15th. And, for what it's worth, I reported this the other day, but the anticipation is that Rob and the Wizards will enter into more tangible negotiations on the 15th. How long they go and how long they will go is another subject altogether, but it is expected that when Jonas becomes available for trade, the Lakers will make a serious call to go and try and get him.
Can you put up the graphic that was made yesterday by one of the outlets that was reporting this? That it was just like Rob Pelinka is going to check in on Jonas Valanciunas in 5 days.
5 days, yeah. I have to find it. Let me find it. Then the next thing after Jonas, I have the Lakers signing Markelle Fultz. Looks like I don't have the actual graphic. It's just Jonas's floating head. But signing Markelle Fultz, he is currently unsigned, former number 1 overall pick. So Rob loves pedigree guys, good athlete, good defender. Apparently he's rehabbing from some knee concern that he had over the summer, and that's part of why he isn't currently signed. But the Lakers, if they do move Gabe and Wood for Valanciunas, would then open up enough room for both on the roster and under the second apron to sign Markelle Fultz. And then you have, after that, this probably takes place closer to the deadline. I would send D'Lo, Rui, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Cam, and either 2 first-rounders or 1 first-rounder plus a couple second-rounders for Dorian Finney-Smith and Cam Johnson. If you send out both first-rounders, I would expect that the Lakers would ask for a couple second-rounders back from Brooklyn, but something else there to keep in mind. And then finally, if you can turn Wood into a working and an active NBA player, all the better. What do you think of the plan?
It is very I just fixed the Lakers in 2K and it was really easy YouTube video type of thing. It's just like all of that stuff.
Somebody did ask me. I was like, I
will give you that
2K in years. But
it is. No, yeah, because you are playing 2K in your brain all the time with the current Lakers roster. It is creative. I will give you that.
Not good, not bad, creative.
Yeah. I mean, it's
as somebody who used to edit my stuff, I know that tone.
Yeah, I can look at it and it's like, okay, you got DFS and Cam Johnson, you got Markelle Fultz, you got Valanciunas. It's like that's a lot of new names that we don't hate yet. But then it's like, do then those players cease to become perfect 3-and-D wing that you can plug in next to LeBron and AD, and now they're like, it's like, oh yeah, those guys have flaws too, and it turns out that this team is not good enough. That's probably the best you could thread the needle with the Lakers' current asset stuff. And I don't know. I just still feel like it's like, okay, Jonas, how much is he going to be able to play for you in the playoffs? Is he are you going to really be able to play him and AD all that consistently together? If not, then okay, you're back to AD at center in a lot of these lineups. And is there sort of enough ball handling there? With LeBron, I guess it would be like LeBron and Austin Reeves, basically, and Markelle Fultz, I guess you're counting on being healthy. But then Fultz is sort of an iffy shooter, and, we don't know how healthy he is, or even, if you can really turn injuries off with him, and if that is going to be someone that's a fit. So, I don't know. It's interesting.
Right,
you know what? Honestly, I laud the creativity of putting that idea together, because that's something that, my brain could not do. Is put something like that. Yeah,
it was a lot of work. I was on a trade machine for quite a while, and here's the I think the winning argument for that kind of a plan over writing this out, because this is something that Tim and I have been DMing back and forth about a ton, and I don't think I'm putting him on blast here, but He made a video
with him
to
see if he was cool with me saying
no. He made a video about it. I think I'm okay to I'm okay to bring this up, because he was saying that it's time to trade LeBron and AD, And I think my number one dispute with that take is that the second that Rob, trades one or both of LeBron and AD and kickstarts the rebuild, guess what that does?
It gives him like 5 years of job security, where it's
It
like,
gives
well,
him power
you can't
over
judge
the
Rob
rebuild.
Pelinka. He's like, he's in year one of a rebuild. Look at all the picks he got.
Right. Watch him get no picks back.
Yeah. He would get picks. I have confidence. I think Rob is like a replacement level to below replacement level GM. He would get picks back. It may not be as much as you'd want. Like it wouldn't be as much as Presti would get back, but like he would. I have confidence that he would make like acceptable, not completely embarrassing deals for those guys. The LeBron one might be just because like they would do the whole like we want to do him a favor and send him where he wants to go and we owe this to him as an organization type thing. But like the AD one, I think they would actually get stuff back.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't have very much faith.
I mean, I don't, to be clear, I don't think it's a good idea because for the exact same reason you don't. Like, I understand where Jason's coming from, but I don't trust this front office to execute a rebuild, which is sort of part of the problem. Is like, I don't trust them to rebuild this team on the fly. I also don't trust them to do a rebuild. And so it's like, wait, what would you say you do here?
I mean, that's the thing is that like
what do you feel like is more realistic, that they execute a well done rebuild or that they thread the needle here and actually make like the remnants of this sort of core and era a contender? I think it's probably the latter, and I don't even think that that's that likely.
Yeah, the threading the needle
you're
part
already
of this,
starting from LeBron and AD at that point.
Yeah, like, well, the threading the needle part of it, like, I don't know if they would accomplish everything that you need to do in threading that needle, but I do think that they would check at least a couple boxes off. Whereas, like, if you...
They're, like, starting on second base at that point,
yeah.
at least. You just need a little less.
Which is something that, like, the Bus family should be pretty, like, accustomed to at this point. But, like, if you start with if you give them oversight over a rebuild... right, and you entrust them with that process without LeBron and AD and Clutch, by the way, like I think really importantly, Clutch has done a lot for the Lakers in terms of lining up their clients. Sometimes it's worked out, sometimes it hasn't, but it's been like an additional kind of guide rail that the Lakers can lean on when they absolutely have to. And if LeBron and AD and Clutch are gone, and it's completely Jeannie and Linda and Kurt and Rob and the three other people who work in their front office.
And what agency is Rob aligning himself with at that point, when we know that he burned a lot of bridges as an agent, as most agents do? I'm not saying that, like, if you brought in X agent, whatever, they'd have a lot of great relationships with other agents. Agents generally hate each other, but that's sort of where the Clutch thing comes in. It's like he's been able to foster a relationship with this agency to where they can sort of, work in tandem to some degree. And, do I think that he's going to be like, hey, like Wasserman wants to really work with you guys? Like, probably not, like the like CAA, like whoever, like they're not gonna be lining up to like sort of, try it. I mean, there would be agencies that sort of want to come in and take shadow tentacles into the Lakers, but yeah, I mean, I just think it's the whole, like, I don't trust them to rebuild with and find as good of a foundation as LeBron and AD already are. And so I think that it's still better that they try to salvage what they can of this era.
Here, by the way, is the image that you were talking about. You just DM'd it to me.
Yeah.
Jonas looks so like look at his face. It honestly looks like he's like just realized, oh shit, the Lakers are bringing me in just to handle Jokic in a 7-game series.
No, it looks like Rob opened a door above him and it's like, Jonas, we're here to free you from Washington. Like, come with me. Rob's like down on like one of the helicopter ropes. He's rappelling down. He's like, Jonas, we're gonna save you. No Win November's over. Come on, come with me if you want to live.
And Jonas is like, I don't know. I like playing.
It's so nice that Rob is going to check in on him in 5 days. I think, hey, we all got to check in on the people in our lives that matter more often. Mm-hmm. And like, so I'm going to make this vow to the audience. I'm also going to check in on Jonas Valanciunas in 5 days. I'm just going to send it, I'm going to send him a couple DMs, just be like, hey, everything all right, buddy? You good? Yeah. I know it's been a tough season in Washington. So,
but yeah, I think end of the day, if Rob and if I had my like power ranking of how I would prefer to see this play out, one would be screw it, go all in, give these guys a chance. I know it's going to sting on the rebuild because you're going to start with nothing, but like at the end of the day, you're not going to get duos like LeBron and AD very often together.
Yeah.
And I would prefer to give that a go one more time, even if it is a fool's
Especially
errand.
in the playoffs, when we've seen that those guys can elevate up a level in the shorter series with the more rest between games. You know, it's a worthy bet. You know, like just get them into the series, and if they have capable help this time, maybe you can make a run.
They also know how to like chart a path through those series too, right?
Yeah.
That was what we saw during that run was like, we have to win game one. We'll kind of sort of take game two off. We'll get home, take care of business in both of those games. And then it comes down to, game five. And if we're able to win that one, we give ourselves a couple chances at knocking that opponent out of the series. And like, if you basically tell LeBron and AD, hey, every other game, you're basically going to have like 3 or 4 days between games that you absolutely need to win. I think LeBron and he can handle that. And then if you give those guys the kind of athletes that this path would give them, where you have Dorian Finney-Smith who can handle some of the perimeter stuff. I know he's guarding more fours now than threes, but still, I would still entrust him with guarding threes in this roster or on this roster.
It's like he's going to guard threes better still than anyone currently on this roster.
Yeah, who isn't maybe like Cam or something like that, but Dorian is also not going to be the negative on offense that Cam is. Yeah. And then the better Cam Johnson in this case would just be like a complete upgrade over Rui, where he is a fire alarm shooter. He has
it's like release. A Rui that does the things that JJ wants Rui to do.
Yeah.
Already, and it's good at them. Like it doesn't have to like relearn basketball habits.
A listener actually sent me a clip of, and I meant to download it and put it here on the page too, but sent me a clip of JJ like waxing poetic about Dorian Finney-Smith. Just something to tuck away in the back of your mind.
I love this. Lakers fans, keep going through the podcast archives. Find all the clips from Old Man and the Three to serve our agendas.
Yeah.
Did you see the old JJ Redick first take screen grab that was like, this isn't like Darvin Ham's fault. This is a poorly constructed roster or something like that?
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Darvin did a ton with it, but he's also
I don't know
wrong.
if it wasn't about Darvin. It was just like, this is like not on. It was something about like, don't blame so-and-so. Like this is a poorly constructed roster.
Yeah. Again, like, it's been funny to see people dunk on Lakers fans for this. Like, see, Darvin wasn't the problem. It's like, was he the solution either? Like, are you willing to go? Are you willing to stick your neck out onto that limb? Like, and say that he would do better with this roster than JJ is currently, when we saw what he did with the exact same roster last year?
Yeah, there's JJ Redick on ESPN. This is an actual ESPN headline from what's the date? I can't see it here, but it's from 2 years ago. So it was before the Western Conference Finals run with when they made all the trades at the deadline. There's just JJ Redick. The Lakers roster is poorly constructed. There's no room to restructure the team.
And then so the power rankings thing that I was making, so I'd rather go all in Viking funeral here at the end of it, the berserker approach, and see how that goes. Second would be quietly canvas what you can get for LeBron, quietly canvas what you can get for Anthony Davis, and then maybe see how that goes. Preferably in the summer, but if it's that big of a difference, maybe you pull the trigger now. And then the path that I have as a distant third is just write it out, right? Write it out.
Yeah.
Keep your powder dry, because all you're going to wind up with is
like that's just cowardice,
Yeah.
Like you're just wasting everyone's time at that point. As much as I'm not like, oh yeah, I think Rob Pelinka is the man to rebuild this Lakers roster and tear it down and rebuild it back up. It's like, at least that is committing to a direction. Not doing anything at this trade deadline is, I think, inexcusable. You're basically sitting on your hands so that you can say at the end of the year, it's like, those guys just weren't good enough, and it wasn't worth investing in them, and it was definitely a better idea to just waste another year of their careers.
Yeah, of all of the scenarios here, the idea of just cynically selling tickets for the rest of this season and accomplishing nothing as they did last year.
Lakers fans deserve better than to be gaslit like that, where it's like, hey, we have LeBron and AD, we got a chance, like, and just trying to like put butts in seats. Like, that's the most cynical way to run the operation that I can think of.
Yeah.
Like, either try to win with these guys or stop wasting everyone's time. You got to pick a direction.
The other part of this that I think not enough people are talking about here is AD. Like, there's all this focus on LeBron. Does he want to go to Golden State? Does he want to go back to Cleveland? Does he want to do this? Does he want that? And like, for some reason, the better basketball player is just like,
I was going to say, what's funny is like, I actually think AD would be a better trade target for Golden State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you could trade Draymond.
Yeah.
Or if you trade
Draymond,
Wiggins, it doesn't hurt you as bad. It doesn't hurt like to trade Wiggins as bad, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I like, what do you think AD wants out of all of this? Because the one thing that, like,
stay with the Lakers probably and just like, live in LA.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
But like the one thing that Lakers people specifically continue to remind me about is how fiery a competitor AD is and how competitive he is, how much it bothers him when the Lakers lose, how much it messes with his mind when he personally fucks up. So I went through a whole slump after the Orlando game because that loss was squarely on him.
And you can see it after these tough losses, like when he calls himself out or calls other people out, he is more competitive than his reputation, would suggest.
Yeah, he's just a nice guy. And people take him being a nice guy for not being a fiery competitor. I'll say this, like, you couldn't make the majority of your impact on the defensive side of the court and not be a psycho competitor. That those two things are antithetical to each other.
Yeah.
And like, at what point, Harrison, after all of this conversation about LeBron James, at what point do we get to the point where like AD is like, I'm also sick of losing? Like,
well, I think that LeBron's always going to be the bigger storyline because he's LeBron, and to some degree, like, the entire NBA narrative revolves around LeBron because he has been the main character for the last 20 years. Like, it's him or Steph has been like the main character for the last decade, and probably both of them at the same time. And so there's always going to be more interest around like what's next for him, and then it's also in sort of what is next for him. That is the Lakers picking a direction that then sort of dictate, like, he's the first domino to fall. Like, if he wants out, then you start thinking about, okay, what do we get for Anthony Davis? But if he wants to stay and, you're going to reinvest in the roster, then it's like, well, it doesn't make sense to move Anthony Davis. So I think that's why we aren't really hearing much about him, is because the Lakers and LeBron have to go through this passive aggressive game of chicken that we do every single year at the trade deadline and figure out whether or not they want to remain in their marriage of convenience. And and that sort of like, then AD, sort of gets to decide, like, he's like the kid that gets to decide like which parent he's living with afterwards.
Can I give you a take that I haven't heard anywhere?
I expect nothing less from you.
I should probably have like a sounder for this, like a warning.
We need the hot take sound effect now. I'll see if I can find it on my laptop, the one that everyone hated, that like destroyed their car, made everyone crash their cars. Yeah.
Yeah. I really want to see this team with Anthony Davis on it and not LeBron.
Tweet that one.
Don't you? You weren't at least a little curious about this?
No. I mean, yes, curious in like it would be interesting to watch, but not curious in like I actually want this to happen.
Like, I actually sometimes look forward to the games that LeBron isn't playing in because I want to see what this team would look like without the incessant reliance on LeBron ball. And like, I want to be clear. LeBron is like a top 3 favorite player of mine. In my opinion, he's the best player I've ever seen and probably will be the best player I will ever see in my lifetime. I think he's extraordinary, but I also think he is very capable of taking players out of a rhythm, as he just did over the last few games or so,
Yeah.
When the focus becomes LeBron James. And like heliocentric offenses are great when the sun in that case is that force of nature. But when you see any slippage, when you see any dimming of that sun, that's when you start to see that entire system fall apart and really show its cracks. And like I really want to see what Anthony Davis and like let's say that package for Golden State actually happens. Let's say LeBron approaches Jeannie and says, "Hey, send Bronny and me north. Let's go. Like I want to go try to win a ring."
I like that. I like that in this hypothetical, he leads with Bronny. He's making sure that what's most important is taken care of. That's good fatherhood, you know.
I want to see also, like, interestingly here, I kind of wonder if LeBron would prefer Bronny to develop in Golden State's system more so than in the Lakers system, where
I think he just would want Bronny to like.
No, I know. I think the biggest thing is he wants proximity,
yeah.
But if you stack the two organizations side by side with who has developed more young talent, I don't think it's particularly close. That Golden State has a better rap sheet there.
Recently?
I think so. I would probably say so.
With who?
Pods.
Pods was just good. Like they just
TJD.
hit on that draft pick. Those guys didn't come in. That wasn't. That's like saying like the Lakers developed.
I guess that's true. Like Wiseman was a complete travesty.
Yeah, they just
Kuminga's up and down.
Yeah, their draft development guys have not panned out at all.
Yeah, it's probably. Let's ask LeBron. Next time I see him.
Gonna drive from Austin to San Antonio again just to ask, like, LeBron, who do you think could develop Bronny better? JJ, Steve Kerr. He's like, who let this guy in here?
That was a look that AD gave.
Yeah.
Just the AD for actually answering. It's so adorable. Every time Avery sees Anthony Davis on the TV, she goes, Dad. That's the guy you talk to. It's adorable. Anthony Davis is like, it immediately became her favorite player. But anyway, like, let's say LeBron goes up north and the Warriors send Wiggins and Kuminga and TJD. And I think they would have to send maybe one more player because the Lakers would have to include Bronny here in this case.
No, they got to get Pods in the deal. We need the Pods Austin Reeves backcourt that is going to break the internet.
I really don't need it.
I need it.
You can keep Pods. Like,
you don't want a player literally named Podcast on the team?
No, I think
it's for you.
He needs to stay with Draymond. Pods needs to stay with Draymond. But like I would be really kind of curious to see what an athletic team that has now. You would need to go and upgrade your point guard. You would need to, like, D'Angelo Russell's expiring at that point, would have to be used on a more two-way impactful point guard there, whoever that might be. And, you know, Austin, I think, would have to move almost solely to shooting guard, ideally with an athletic point guard to kind of help out on defense too. And now you're talking about a max point guard there anyway, the kind of guy that I just described. But like I can't help but be a little curious about it. And I would kind of wonder if the Lakers approached Anthony Davis and said, "Hey, LeBron just asked us if we could trade him up to Golden State so we can go and play with Steph and go chase a championship there. What do you think of this?" Like, it is no longer a conversation. It is just your team. You remember how fun it was early in the season when you were the hub and you were averaging 30 and 13 and were part of the MVP conversations? What if it was just that for the rest of the season? You get to be that guy and we build around you specifically. What do you think? How do you think AD approaches? What's his response there, do you think?
I mean, I think at that point, you know, like with that case, like I think he certainly sticks it out the year. But then I think part of that conversation would also be like, hey, if it doesn't go well, you know, we can try and help you find your next spot, you know, this offseason.
Yeah.
And we'll work with you.
Yeah. because here's my thing. Because all right, fine. You want to trade LeBron because the return on LeBron, it would be a lot higher now than it would be in the offseason when teams could potentially only be trading for 1 year of LeBron James after he turns 40. Okay. I don't want to tank when the Lakers don't have their pick. So I would rather keep Anthony Davis, and then after the
only
season,
reason to do that is if you think you can get significantly more for AD now, and then it's like, okay, the pick is a sunk cost. The pick's out the door no matter what. It doesn't matter where the pick ends up. It's just like, could you get more first round picks by dealing him now? And I'm not sure that you could at mid-season.
I don't think that's true. Yeah,
because I don't know that because I don't know who the natural suitor is. That is like we're an Anthony Davis away from title. Like that's like a unique sort of player to fit in.
Well, it's also
It
like
also make
if you wait until the summer, you have a lot more teams, a lot more flexible. All of the expirings will have expired. You have actual cap space that teams could possibly work with there. You have cap space that teams could send contracts into that would make 3 teams trades all the easier. You have a whole nother year's worth of first round picks that teams would have at their disposal for an Anthony Davis trade. Like I just think the difference in trading Anthony Davis now or in February versus in June or July or whatever, like I don't see that big of a difference. Anthony Davis isn't going to be meaningfully a different player at the end of the season than he is now. Like I would rather just, and that way.
Well, I guess the question is
who's
trading for AD at midseason anyway, right? Like who has sort of that type of, need and fit and contracts to make it work and picks, like I do think that it's more of an off-season move. Salary dump Embiid,
I say Lakers say no in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Severino, Dallas could potentially. I don't know if they have the contracts to be able to do it.
Dallas is an interesting one because it's like he is basically like super Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford,
Yeah. He would.
He's like the Charizard of those players, I guess.
If you put AD on Dallas, they become the best team in the conference.
What about the Spurs? Wemby and AD.
Oh my God. Did you mention that defense?
Trying to score.
Oh my God. I kind of want to see it.
What about the Pelicans for
Oh man. Could you imagine? all that whining about the fact he hasn't said goodbye to New Orleans. He comes back.
Yeah. He's like, this is why I didn't say goodbye. I'm back, baby.
Yeah. Somebody brings up, send him to Atlanta and get their picks, get the Lakers' own pick back.
That's interesting. I don't know that Atlanta has enough picks otherwise to make that worth it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think for me,
and like the Lakers aren't going to be able to tank enough that it's like, oh, it's this huge benefit to have their own pick.
Although, have you seen? I don't think they would win another game all year without LeBron James and Anthony Davis. No, I that's kind of the path that I would prefer. That would be, like 2A. Like go. Maybe again. Very, very quietly, although I don't think you can do this quietly. Talk to LeBron, see what he's looking for in a potential destination, see what that potential destination could offer up for LeBron. But I think I would keep Anthony Davis through the end of the year. And I would just see, now you're not going to win a championship. I don't think Anthony Davis is the kind of player that you could win a championship with as your best player. But I don't know, it makes it so that I don't
need
have
like a hell of like a 2 through 4, I think, offensively.
Yeah. I mean, look, LeBron and AD was the perfect duo. Like I still contend that, like I said this when they traded for him. I said, in terms of fit,
2 of the guys you would most want in a playoff series,
Yeah. Like in terms of fit and talent level and all of that stuff, Anthony Davis and LeBron James is right there with the greatest duos of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like flat out. They're there with Shaq and Kobe. They're there with Scottie and Michael. They're there with Magic and Kareem. They're there with, name any duo that you want. I would take that 2019,
2020 LeBron AD against any year of any duo. Yeah.
1 zillion%.
I still would have Shaq and Kobe and some of those guys ahead of them, but
for sure
they're in the conversation of those. If you're picking great duos,
yeah, and that's why it would be a bummer to see them split up. But it's going to happen at some point. But if they are going to be split up, I would prefer to keep Anthony Davis there. And I honestly having watched him through this entire LeBron era and watching him kind of interact with LeBron and all that stuff, I kind of sort of feel like he would welcome that opportunity to just be the guy. And,
I don't know. They've been trying to force that on him for they've been trying to have him do it while LeBron's here for 4 years, and it just keeps not happening.
But it's impossible to do that while LeBron
I guess it's just
there.
I guess LeBron, that's probably as much a LeBron, I want to take a step back, and then things aren't going the way he wants, and so he just starts speaking up,
Yeah. And I think that's where this is me projecting, to be clear. But I think if I were Anthony Davis and I keep getting told by this guy, it's your team, this is your time, this is your thing, this is that. And then you look up at the usage rate and it's it's clearly not, buddy. That would
I meant it's your team in that you should have to speak for them, and it's your fault if we lose.
It's every time the Lakers lose and Anthony Davis plays poorly, he's always I did this, I did that, I should have done this, I should have done this better. Every time the Lakers lose and LeBron doesn't play very poorly, he's we got to do this, we got to do this. And it's if I were AD, I'm hold on. All right, I think that is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lounge podcast.
No. Yeah, there's one more thing that you need to do. I sent you a screen grab. I was able to make the LeBron and Jimmy to Golden State work under the cap.
Oh my
monstrosity.
God, really?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna pull it up.
Again, I'm not saying this is not me saying that any of the teams involved should do this. I'm just saying, I guess it is legally possible. All I had to do was turn off the December 15th trade restriction, and this is theoretically legal under the cap.
I haven't seen this yet, so I'm afraid for what is going to happen in my eyes.
It is worse than any trade machine screenshot that you've ever sent me, I will say.
All right, so in this you have
All right, you want me to read it off? So you have, to the Heat, you have Andrew Wiggins, DeAnthony Melton, Jonathan Kuminga, and TJD. And then to the Lakers, you have Draymond Green, Gary Payton II, Buddy Hield, Brandon Podzinski, and Lindy Waters III. And the Warriors get Jimmy Butler and LeBron.
So
this is legal.
Okay. The problem is I don't know if they would have enough room. Yeah, because they're taking on less. They're taking on more money. And I don't think they have that much room under the second apron.
It worked because there were certain ones that it wasn't letting me do. I kept having to move money around. And eventually this one went through as long as you turned off the December 15th trade restriction.
Gotcha.
Now, I don't know that it would work because there's in-season roster limits and stuff like that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is that after
the
they
Warriors
do
would
all
have
of
to
that,
sign 8 guys off the street,
They just traded. I'll pull it up again. They just traded 1, 2, 3, 4,
9 players.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players. They would have to sign at least 6 or 7 players.
7 guys. Yeah, they'd have to sign 7 guys, at least 6. It's Steph, Jimmy, LeBron, and the what's the Warriors G League team? I'm blanking on the Santa Cruz Warriors.
Santa Cruz. What are they?
I think it's the Santa Cruz Warriors. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Sea Dubs.
The trade machine was a mistake.
I'm gonna tweet that one out after the show. Be like,
right.
I'm gonna find the tweet of Wendy's misaggregation and just say, guys, I made it work.
Don't worry, everybody.
I think everyone says yes to this.
Mike Dunleavy Jr., get at me.
I think the Warriors, they get like a second round pick in there, and I think everyone's saying yes.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of like all of the players they would have to sign and the lack of talent that's out there in the free agent pool right now. But that's part of the thing here.
They could add Markelle Fultz, and the problem solved.
Well, but like this is part of the thing. This is what I was trying to get at when I was talking about like LeBron's preferences here. If you're LeBron and you're going to take the somewhat legacy hit of joining Steph's team in Steph's city and all of that to pursue a championship, don't you want to go there and be on a roster that is overwhelming?
Yeah,
like, isn't that
and
the
it's
point?
Like, is that roster even good? Like, I think we're sort of to some degree like reacting to something that is not really even being considered. But it's just very funny to consider the possibility of them trying to acquire both of those guys, and the amount, and just to show the sheer amount of contracts they would have to send out, and that team honestly might be a disaster because it's like you have like probably the best big three in the NBA. No, not probably, definitely the best big three in the NBA, and then it's like a G League team behind them.
Wait, you have Draymond in that trade too, right?
Yeah, Draymond has to be in the trade for salary reasons.
Right. So there's no defense.
Yeah.
Please, what are you gonna go sign my son, Damon Jones? Like
Damian Jones, come back. Boogie Cousins.
Yeah, like
come back from Taiwan.
Dwight's been begging.
Dwight. There we go. Dwight, finally a Warrior. He finally does it.
They would probably have to wait until like the deadline to do this so that the amount that each signing costs gets to a point where they can fit that under the cap, right? Like the prorated minimum salary is enough. That would be, but even let's take Jimmy Butler out of it.
Yeah.
In order to trade for LeBron James, they still need to move like a third of their rotation. And if you're LeBron and you're like, all right, I'm gonna again
Draymond, Steph, let's say that they keep Draymond out of the trade because why would the Lakers even want Draymond at that point? You're probably heading towards. I mean, I guess him and AD is an interesting like defensive combo, but I don't think the Warriors are trading Draymond in a deal like that. Like, if LeBron's going there, it's to play with Draymond.
Right. So you're keeping Steph, LeBron, Draymond, which is a really, really, really good top three.
Yeah.
But you have to trade
the greatest three old men ever assembled, probably.
Yeah, since LeBron, Russ, and AD. But like
I was going to say since like Hakeem, Barkley, and Pippen.
Drexler. I think if you're LeBron though, and you're going to take that like again legacy hit because you're going to Steph's city, you're going to be on Steph's team, and you have basically admitted defeat, and you said like, all right, I am going up there to go play with you, and you're on.
I forgot to put Bronny in the trade, so actually this one may not work.
Might not work now. I don't think like this is why. I don't think he asks the Lakers for a trade. I think he's smart.
Not going to. It's all like, again, you and I just fell for it. We fell for this distraction from the beauty of the NBA Cup and spent an hour talking about this thing that is not going to happen because he wants to stay in LA and he wants to remain with the Lakers and he doesn't want like I think the LeBron, again, I don't know LeBron, but like the sense that I've always gotten is that he values the like I've never been traded in my career thing.
Well, he has, but it was by choice.
It was a sign and trade. That doesn't count.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, like, yes, you're right. We fell for it and all that stuff, but like, I don't know. I feel like we did it a little bit differently than like ESPN does, where it's like maybe. It's just not. I don't see it happening.
We right now should be talking about Hawks, Knicks, and Warrior. This is not the Warriors discussion. Maybe this is LeBron's ultimate victory over the Warriors. Is instead of discussing their win or go home cup game, another playoff rivalry, win or go home game against the Rockets, we're discussing LeBron trade swap.
Yeah.
He saw what Woj did with Danny Hurley, and he's like, I could do this. Let me perk. Start the news cycle. So I'm off for 4 days. I need people talking about LeBron.
Yeah. All right, that is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lounge podcast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. A quick reminder, please do hit that subscribe button. Please do hit that like button and share the show as well with your friends and all of that good stuff. If you guys are listening to this in the morning in podcast form, please hit subscribe wherever it is that you get your podcast, preferably on Odyssey. And I'm going to be recording here in a second the lowdown for tonight as well. So check that out. Make
sure you check out my SBNation.com article on how LeBron inspired one of the lyrics from Gracie Abrams' new hit, That's So True. Important
I don't know who that
journalism. Yeah, well, she's J.J. Abrams' daughter. She opened for Taylor Swift during the Eras tour.
Who's J.J.? Oh, the director?
The director, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Went and saw her in concert, actually, with Mia earlier this year. She's great. Okay. So, yeah.
Lakers fan? Like, is that?
She's worn a Lakers cap. There's evidence of this. So,
okay.
And also, she was inspired by a LeBron meme to write the opening line to her, like biggest song yet, her first Billboard Top 10. So
what's the first line? What's the opening line?
The smiling through it all. That's my life.
Really? Her song starts with that.
It's the final sentence of like the opening line. I'm not going to sing it, but those of you interested can check it out. That's so true. Gracie Abrams. And you're going to listen to it and your brain's going to be like, wait, isn't that the LeBron meme? Turns out, yes, it is.
Huh. All right. Investigative journalism over here.
Watch Big out, J Taylor Swift. Gracie Abrams and LeBron are coming for you.
I can't believe you didn't put on your press fedora for that walkthrough.
Yeah, well, hey, I can't do it all for the Lakers Lounge listeners every time.
Missed opportunity there.
It's actually behind me. I can go get it. Do you want?
No, it's too late now. You're good. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Make somebody else's, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.